They laughed first. That was their mistake. Nobody had ever seen Bruce Lee humiliated in public before that night. Nobody had ever watched three strangers mock his clothes, his shoes, his very presence, and walk away believing they had won. In the next 4 minutes, they would learn the most humbling lesson of their lives, and the crowd that gathered would never forget what they witnessed. This is what really happened at the Taiping Shan Night Market in the autumn of 1970. Hong Kong, October 1970. Taiping Shan Night Market, just after 8 p.m. The narrow lanes are jammed with food stalls and shoppers, the air thick with the smell of grilled squid, frying garlic, and the sweet smoke of roasting chestnuts. Paper lanterns sway overhead, throwing soft orange light across the crowd. Vendors shout prices. A radio somewhere plays Cantonese opera, tinny and distant. This is ordinary Hong Kong on an ordinary night, loud, alive, indifferent to anyone in particular. Bruce Lee walks through the market alone. He has just come from a long afternoon of filming, and he is dressed plainly. A faded gray shirt with a small tear at the collar, worn dark trousers, sandals that have clearly seen years of use. He is not dressed for recognition. He is dressed for comfort, the way a man dresses when he wants to disappear into a crowd for an hour and simply be a person again, not a star. 3 young women are standing near a fruit stall, well-dressed, expensive jewelry catching the lantern light, the kind of confident loudness that comes from never having been told no. They are laughing about something before Bruce even passes them, and when he does pass, one of them, the tallest, with sharp eyes and sharper words, turns and looks him up and down. "Look at this one," she says to her friends, not quietly, dressed like he just came from begging. Her friends laugh, the easy, cruel laugh of people who have never had to wear anyone else's old clothes. Bruce does not turn around. He keeps walking, the way a man walks who has heard worse and learned long ago that words cost nothing and answer nothing. But the tallest girl is not finished. She steps forward, blocking the narrow lane just enough to make her point land. "Hey," she says, "I'm talking to you. You should be embarrassed walking around like that. People are looking." Bruce stops. He turns calm, unhurried. "I'm comfortable," he says simply. That's enough. This answer, quiet, untroubled, does something to her that anger never could have. It makes her angrier. "Comfortable," she repeats, mocking the word, drawing it out for her friend's amusement. Maybe if you actually worked, you could afford something that doesn't look like it came off a corpse. A small crowd has started to gather without quite meaning to. The way crowds gather in markets, drawn by tone before they understand content. A noodle vendor stops stirring his pot. 2 old men playing checkers on an upturned crate look up. 12, maybe 15 people now watching. None of them yet aware who the quiet man in the torn shirt actually is. The second girl, emboldened, steps in beside her friend. "Maybe he can't even speak properly," she says, switching deliberately into English, the kind of casual cruelty meant to test whether the target understands enough to be embarrassed by it. "Look at his shoes. Does he know what shoes cost?" Bruce's expression does not change. He answers in the same English, calm and clear. "I know what they cost. I also know what they're for. Walking." A few people in the gathering crowd suppress laughter. The third girl, younger, quieter than the other 2, looks uncomfortable, glancing between her friends and the man they are mocking, but she says nothing to stop it. The tallest girl's pride is touched now, not just amused. She reaches out, not a slap, but a shove, flat palm against Bruce's shoulder, hard enough to push him half a step back. "Don't be smart with me," she says. "Beggars don't get smart with people who actually have money." This is the moment the crowd understands something has shifted. A shove in a crowded market is not a joke anymore. The noodle vendor sets down his ladle entirely now. The old men abandon their checkers game. Bruce regains his balance instantly, weight settling, untouched by the push in any way that shows. He looks at her, and for the first time there is something in his eyes beyond patience, not anger, but a kind of clear, total attention. The attention of a man who has decided exactly how far this is allowed to go, and has just watched that line get crossed. "You shouldn't have done that," he says, his voice still quiet, still even, which makes it more unsettling than if he had shouted. She laughs, glancing at her friends for support. "What are you going to do about it? Hit me?" A little man in old clothes is going to hit three women in the middle of a market. Her friends laugh with her, but it is thinner now, the laughter of people performing confidence rather than feeling it. I'm not going to hit you, Bruce says. I'm going to show you something. Stand still. She doesn't expect this. She expected him to walk away, the way every other small, quiet man in worn clothes has walked away from her before. Instead, he steps toward her, calm, deliberate, and reaches. Not toward her face, not toward her body, but toward the silk scarf knotted loosely around her neck, the one she has spent the evening adjusting and admiring in the polished surfaces of shop windows. His fingers close on it for less than a second. There is no force in the movement that anyone watching can identify. No pull, no yank, nothing that should work. And yet the scarf comes free in his hand, slipping loose from a knot that took her 10 minutes to tie that evening, without so much as brushing her collarbone. She gasps, hand flying to her bare throat. Give that back. I will, Bruce says, after you understand something. He holds the scarf loosely, almost carelessly, in one hand. You judge me by what I'm wearing. You assume that what covers a person is what a person is. That mistake, that exact mistake, is why I could take this from you, and you never even felt my hand move. You were watching my clothes. You should have been watching me. The crowd is fully silent now. 20 people, maybe more, packed into the narrow lane. Nobody moving. The noodle pot behind the vendor beginning to boil over, unnoticed. The second girl, trying to recover the moment, steps forward with sudden bravado. Anyone can grab a scarf. That doesn't prove anything. She reaches out herself, grabbing for Bruce's collar, the torn one, as if to tear it further, to humiliate him the way they had planned to all along. Her hand never reaches the fabric. Bruce's wrist rises an inch, no more, redirecting her reaching arm just enough that her own momentum carries her half a step past him, stumbling, catching herself against the fruit stall, knocking 2 oranges to the ground that roll away into the crowd's feet. She straightens, face burning, humiliation now plainly visible beneath the anger. You, try again if you want, Bruce says. His tone has not risen once. Or we can stop here. Your choice. The tallest girl, scarfless and exposed in front of the crowd that had been laughing with her minutes earlier, looks at her 2 friends. The third, quiet one, finally speaks, her voice small. Mei Ling, stop. Just stop. Give it up. But Mei Ling, the tallest girl, the one who started it, is not ready to stop. Pride does not surrender that easily. Not in front of 20 strangers. She lunges, this time with real intent, both hands aimed at Bruce's shoulders, meaning to push him hard enough that he falls, that the crowd sees him on the ground in his torn shirt and worn sandals. Proof of everything she has said about him. Bruce does not retreat. He steps in, not back, the wrong direction. The direction that breaks every instinct a frightened person would follow, and her hands find nothing but air where his shoulders should have been. In the same motion, his own hand rises, fingers spread, palm open, and comes to rest, not a strike, not a slap, simply a contact, against her sternum. Enough pressure that her forward motion stops completely, her whole body's momentum absorbed and returned to her at once. She staggers back 2 full steps and sits down hard on an empty crate behind her, stunned more than hurt, breath knocked sideways. The market is dead silent, not a single sound. 20 witnesses staring at a girl sitting on a crate, breathing hard, scarfless friend beside her, and a quiet man in a torn shirt standing exactly where he started, having barely moved his feet. Bruce walks to her, extends his hand, not to help her up in triumph, but simply to return what he took. He places the scarf gently in her palm. You can tie it again, he says. Maybe pay attention to your own hands next time, not just other people's clothes. She stares at the scarf, then up at him, the anger draining slowly out of her face, replaced by something closer to confusion, then to shame. Who are you? Someone you decided you already knew, Bruce says, before you ever looked. He pauses, and his voice softens slightly, not forgiving exactly, but no longer testing her either. What you wear doesn't make you anything. What you do does. Tonight you judged a stranger by old clothes, and learned that the clothes weren't old, because he had nothing. They were old because he doesn't need what you think matters. The third girl, the quiet one, speaks again, this time louder. We're sorry. We shouldn't have. None of this should have happened. Bruce nods once. Then don't let it happen again. Not to me. Not to anyone. He looks at Mei Ling, still seated, still holding her scarf, still searching his ordinary, unremarkable face for some explanation that would make sense of what just happened to her. Wear your scarf, he says, almost kindly now. Wear your jewelry. None of it makes you better than the next person. It just makes you decorated. He turns and walks back into the crowd, which parts for him now with a different kind of attention than it gave him an hour before. Not recognition exactly. Not yet. But respect. The instinctive kind that doesn't need a name attached to it. It is the noodle vendor, of all people, who finally says it, almost to himself, as Bruce disappears into the lantern light further down the lane. That was Bruce Lee, he says quietly. I'm sure of it. That was Bruce Lee. The words travel through the crowd the way words travel through crowds, quickly, multiplying, growing stranger and more dramatic with each retelling. By the next morning, the story moving through Taiping Shan would claim he broke nothing, hurt no one, raised his voice exactly never, and that 3 well-dressed young women learned, in less than 5 minutes, what years of being told no had never managed to teach them. Mei Ling never spoke publicly about that night, but years later, when she had her own daughter, and her daughter once mocked a classmate's worn shoes at school, Mei Ling sat the child down and told her, for the first time, about a torn gray shirt in a Hong Kong night market, about a scarf that came loose without her ever feeling a hand move, and about a quiet voice that said, "What you wear doesn't make you anything. What you do does." That was the lesson the market gave her. She made sure it outlived the shame that taught it to her.